Hello everyone and welcome to the Creative Noah podcast. On this episode, we're joined by a young creative entrepreneur with big ambitions, who's got the drive, business acumen, and most importantly, the work ethic to make them happen. Founder of Neon Cow, Jack Quddus. Now, if you follow us on social media, you might have already seen the new Explore, Inspire, Create neon sign that we've got in the studio. Well, Jack's company made it, and I was so inspired when I met him that I had to get him to come on the podcast. All self-taught at his mum's kitchen table, and at only 23 years old, Jack has already created work for huge brands like Gymshark, Selfridges, Harvey Nichols, Premier League football clubs, NFL teams, and for celebrities and even rappers like Ja Rule. But whether it's a huge brand or even just a small podcast like this, at the heart of what Jack and Neon Cow do is help you tell your story, deliver your message, and elevate your brand. In this episode, we discuss where Jack's work ethic and business acumen come from, starting out selling sweets in a playground, the lessons that he's learned from his grandparents, Derek and Pauline, not going to university, and how a solo trip to New York would lead to him leaving the lucrative world of property finance to turn his creative side hustle into his almost inevitable path of becoming a self-employed businessman and brand. Now a long way from his mum's kitchen table, Neon Cow has grown massively, and Jack has an incredible amount of wisdom to share with anyone looking to, do their thing, whatever that is. We talk about the non-negotiables, the 1% marginal gains, self-belief, gratitude, focusing on your own path, and how you have to put in the work because no one's going to give it to you. Look, you don't meet many 23-year-olds with even half the drive and determination that Jack has, and you know how we like to shine a light on people doing interesting and inspiring things here in Creative Noah Land. So I hope that Jack's story can inspire you in the same way that it inspired me. Anyway, enough of me. Let's get into it. Jack, thank you for doing the Creative Noah Land podcast. It seems appropriate because you are the first recording in the new studio underneath your magnificent sign.
We like that. That's nice. Thank you for having me up.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for creating such a statement piece that is going to be absolutely epic moving forward with season 2.
Should be cool.
Jack, talk to me about your grandparents.
Yeah, so interesting way to start, but I think really relevant to start at that point. So my grandparents, they're Derek and Pauline, and they're known all around the country for having the longest standing business ran by a married couple. That's in Birmingham. They've been going 61 years this year in their little corner shop in Birmingham. They sell plants, fruit and veg, just the two of them. And I was fortunate enough and lucky enough to be exposed to that environment, whether it was serving people in the shop, counting change with my granddad, going to the warehouse, getting the plants out of a morning, even about 8:30 in the morning, in primary school. I don't know how old you are there, 6, 7 years old. It's getting the plants out. What that teaches you is a great deal.
What do you think it's taught you, bearing in mind that now you are a 23-year-old creative entrepreneur? I know we'll talk about the fact that you possibly didn't consider yourself a creative, but dude, you are one of the most driven young men I've met in a long time. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to get you, not only because you make incredible signs and they're super funky, but also because you have got this drive. A 23-year-old with your drive and determination and entrepreneurial skills, that's what I wanted to get to with your grandparents. That's where it comes from, right?
Without a doubt. Yeah. Without a doubt. I think the tiny things, the small things, such as being in the shop and labeling products, making sure they're facing the front, they're tiny little sales trick which they've just carried through with me to my own business. And I think growing up, when you're surrounded by that environment, it's inevitable that something like having my own business is going to happen. My cousin as well, he's got a brewery one of the best in the country. So it's no coincidence that these things happen. My nan, granddad's 62 years. There's loads of lessons, such as getting up every single morning, whether you feel good, whether you feel bad. There's non-negotiables.
The work ethic.
Yeah, 100%. They have one day off a year, Christmas Day.
Really? Is that it?
That's genuinely. My granddad's coming up to 90 now, and my nan's about 86 years old.
And you all still pull together. When I picked up the sign, you were working in the shop.
Yeah, we all do. All the grandkids, we all help out. We all do our part. It's just our way of returning the favour in a way, because they probably didn't know at the time, but they were shaping their grandkids. And fortunate enough, I'm lucky to be in a good position. I've got my own business. I've left my career in finance to do this. And I guess without, like I said earlier, without being exposed to that, you don't know what direction you'd go in. So yeah, I'd say that's crucial.
Did they directly give you any advice, or was it more just being surrounded by the inspiration of people in business and entrepreneurship as a whole? Because it's not only that, your mum's a nurse, right? So she's got this incredible work ethic as well.
Yeah, correct. So my granddad's the type where he's not going to give you direct advice, but it's more of a thing, watch what he does. And that's what we'll say a lot. He's very sort of old fashioned. He'll know right from wrong. He'll know this is what works. This is what sells. Sometimes play it safe. Sometimes you'll try more experimental things in the shop. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But to be going 62 years, it's no coincidence. And without the work ethic of that, there's no way you'd go for 62 years. And my mum, she's a nurse. She used to do night shifts. So obviously me growing up, I'd probably be up and out the house by about 7 in the morning, maybe. My mum would probably then go back home to sleep. And then when I got dropped off to the shop after 7, I'd then get the plants out. My dad works for the council. He'd be up early morning as well. So everyone was up at it, essentially. Yeah. And that's still to me to this day, even though I'm on my own bus, I still get up at certain fixed times. Non-negotiables. That's the best way to put it, Matt.
I like that. Non-negotiables. Every day you've got to do those things that make you incrementally better the next day.
Correct. And it's one thing that
absolutely love that.
Loads of other podcasts talk about it, but that 1% marginal gains, that's something that's been really with me recently, because a lot of people are aware that 1% marginal gains work in that direction, but guess what? They also go that direction as well. So I'm always conscious of that fact. But it's just about getting up, working, because no one's gonna give it to you in a way. You have to.
But as you say, you're very lucky to have been brought up in that environment where everyone was so work orientated. And what an incredible thing to have your grandparents being the longest running. That's so cool.
It's proud. Everyone's proud, and in their little community, they're sort of the pillar of their community. People will come into the shop and they might not even buy things. They'll just come and chat to my nan and granddad. They'll have a tea, a cake if you're lucky.
So I was lucky enough to meet Grandad. He was an absolute legend.
He popped in. So and that's what it's about. That everyone's welcome. Everyone comes in, and that carries through to me to this day. I can talk to people. When I'm on deliveries, I'll happily have a conversation with someone. Could be anything, but just fortunate. I think fortunate's the word there, really. So lucky.
Can I ask you a question? What are the other 23-year-olds in your world like? Are you surrounded by people that are like-minded, or are you surrounded by, dare I say it, a stereotypical 23-year-old group who just want to go out, party, spank the cash, live for the weekend? I'm only judging people by my standards, what I was probably like when I was 22, 23.
Right.
I'm just intrigued because you talk about incrementally better. That's a James Clear Atomic Habits thing. And also the people that you surround yourself with are a big influence. So I know you mentioned your cousin, you've got family. What's your friendship circle like? What are they doing?
Yeah, friendship is the same, really. I've got a friend, he's got his own barbershop, same as me, his own boss. And I think surrounding yourself with people like that, even when I go to have a trim every 2-3 weeks, just having that 1.5 hour conversation, it makes all the difference, because that person gets you, and guess what, you get them as well. And don't get me wrong, not everyone's perfect. I've got some people that might not be on the same trajectory as me. They might not be too bothered about their career. They might just be living in the now, enjoying today. But everyone's on their own path. As long as you know what's right and what's wrong, I wouldn't let any distractions get in the way of me, essentially. I've got friends that go to university, finish in uni, I didn't go to university, but I can see.
We'll talk about that because there is a progression to this story, isn't there?
Yeah, correct.
Because knowing what you do now, you make these incredible neon signs. It's self-taught, which again we'll talk about as well, which I think is very commendable. But obviously growing up how you've grown up, your thought was like, I mean, I know you said to me, oh, when I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a fireman or something. But then after that, it was finance, banking, entrepreneurship. At 15 years old, you had your own clothing brand called, talk to me about that.
Yeah.
76, was it?
76, yeah. So 76, that was my clothing brand. I'd say that was probably my first business. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't like a business as you know it today, sort of limited company, stuff like that.
Because you'd already actually probably much younger, you've been the classic, selling sweets, go with granddad to the wholesalers, sell sweets, probably making 10 times more than all the other kids.
Yeah, spot on. I think, like I say, that just comes from being in the shop though. I knew, okay, people are going to the canteen for this. Okay, they might be going up the road or to the high street for this. Okay, why don't I just stock that? And I've got my granddad who goes to the cash and carry. I go with him anyway. So I might as well just pick up a box and see if it works. And yeah, that was what I was doing in secondary school. And it just felt natural. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't the only person doing it. There was other people doing it as well. But I always remember just this feeling of, I think I told you about it earlier, there's this sort of pineapple in the living room. And it's
the money box.
Yeah. It's basically a money box. Obviously, it's not real pineapple, just a disclaimer. And it's like a nice piece of art. And you can take the top off.
Yeah.
And what I used to do was, after I've got all my pound coins from the day or for the week, I'll just pop it in there and then pop the head back on the pineapple. Nobody knew it was there, but I knew it was there. And as soon as you could see it build up, it was just, it was inspiring, because then guess what? Once that built up, a certain portion of that would have to go and get the neck box.
But that is not your average 6 or 7, 8-year-olds thinking in the playground, but going, actually, if I compound this, I can buy more stock and then sell more and then I'll make more.
Well, to be fair, this was...
Oh, look at all the sweets I've got. I can stuff them in my face.
That was in secondary school, so that was probably when I was about 13, 14.
Okay.
That was when I was about 13, 14. But going back to that 6, 7, like I said earlier, in the shop, 8:30 in the morning, getting the flowers out for my nan and granddad. What that does is it shows you, okay, if you put a good display out of flowers, we're hopefully going to have a good day. And that was always the aim. You didn't know if you was going to have a good day. You'd see maybe 4 o'clock, okay, is there less flowers to collect? That was always the simplest way to do it. And yeah, like I said earlier, it's the inevitable progression that I was going to eventually have my own business. And my first taste of a business was having my clothing brand. And you could call it creative, you could call it design your own thing. And
would you have called yourself a creative back then?
No, I would call myself, I wouldn't have labeled myself, but I would have known deep down that I'm essentially a little mini businessman in a way. Yeah, I wouldn't have called myself a creative.
Is that because creativity is often thought of art, painting, writing, music, all those things, whereas actually creativity with a capital C is just problem solving. These kids want sweets. These kids want a t-shirt that's cool. It's problem solving.
You're spot on. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. That's why I wouldn't call myself creative, because I've told myself, or over the years, it's been thought to me that, that's what it is. It's painting, it's drawing. I was never really good at drawing, but I guess, solutions. And that's where I am good. I'm good at that.
You must have been designing. You don't just sell a blank t-shirt for 7.6. What was on it? Presumably a 7 and a 6.
It all stemmed from, I remember when I got my first paycheck. So when I turned about 17, my mum paid for, it was like a little lifeguarding course. She thought, you know what, we're going to get you doing this. So everyone else was in school, or might have been that transition over to college, but I was a lifeguard at that time. And so I was doing well at that age. And I think as soon as I got my first paycheck, as we all do, you don't always make the best decisions. I went to Harvey Nichols and I bought this sort of designer. I think, at least I envisioned it as designer. It's like this little bomber jacket. And I don't know, a few months down the line, you later realize all these companies it's all the same material. It's all the same t-shirts. So why don't I just buy these t-shirts by bulk, design what I want to wear, and just wear it? And you know what? If I sell it and create a brand, so be it. And then that's where the natural progression started. I then put it on my Instagram, social media, and people saying, yeah, Jack, we'll have one. And then before you know it, you're selling out a few shirts, a few different designs. I did about 4 or 5 different projects. Yeah, so I learned Photoshop from scratch, Illustrator from scratch. And I think as probably a lot of people do, you just learn as you go along. There was no one in my family that really knew Photoshop or Illustrator, but I just knew, okay, if we want the best designs, I've got to do it myself. And Now thinking about it, I probably was a creative and I didn't quite know about it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But it's hindsight, isn't it? At the
Yeah,
time,
that's
you're
correct.
just thinking, oh, I could probably make a few quid. I could design some cool
Yeah,
t-shirts for myself. But you've taught yourself all these processes of designing, making, producing a t-shirt.
Mm.
Definitely creative, Jack.
You flatter me now.
No,
yeah, true.
not at all, not at all. So you've obviously adopted this entrepreneurship, and the logical route, like you say, is college, where you went on to do like business and finance. Is
Correct.
that right?
Yeah.
Business and finance, and just wanted to push it forward, wanted to go to university. Should we talk about uni? Because
Yeah,
that
of
was
course.
quite a turning point for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was pivotal. I think in college and even in secondary school, when I chose business as my BTEC, I just found myself writing pages and pages for, it could be answers to questions, or it could be, how do you solve this problem as a business? And I just found myself absolutely loads of writing, had loads of stuff in my head. And I thought, this just comes natural to me. And obviously that's been around my grandparents, obviously. And then when you go through to college, you obviously pick a few subjects, and I chose business, finance, and ICT. Business and finance were the main things I wanted to choose because at that time, I wanted to get into banking. That's what I always wanted to do. I didn't know what sector of banking exactly, but I knew I wanted to get into it. And yeah, you go through college for 2-3 years. And
did you really want to get into banking, or was it just money seems like the natural byproduct of business? So banking, let's get into banking. Were you thinking of yourself as a businessman then, or were you going, no, I'm just going to handle other people's money by being a banker? Because you'd almost done the experience, is what I'm trying to say, of started my own business. I've worked in businesses, your grandparents' shop, all these things, the t-shirt thing, going to wholesalers.
Yeah.
But banking's very different to that. It's finance, of course.
Corporate, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the opposite. And so there's a few things to touch on it. It will give you a maybe context to what I was like at the time. So when I was 17, I saved up this pot of money from my Christmas and from my birthday. And what I decided to do was buy, I believe it was one Amazon share, which totaled roughly, might be about £200 or something like that. And I thought, you know what, that's what I'm going to do it in. So maybe that provides context to what I was like at the time. And at the exact same time, I'd be researching all the different sectors of banking, probably about 10, 11 o'clock at night, all the different fields. So investment banking, retail banking. What did I like? And there was no reason for me to do that. This was just purely on the side because I was so interested in it. I could talk to people. So I thought, okay, I can do it over the counter and do that type of banking. But then because I liked the investing, the trading, I was like, okay, maybe investment banking. And that's why I chose those subjects in a way. And to answer your question, did I really want to get into it? I did. I wanted to get into it. But the funny thing is, to get into a lot of these roles, they typically require degrees. And I didn't quite get the grades that I wanted to. The easy excuse for me would be, say, I was in that COVID year where grades got given to you. But for whatever reason, I didn't quite get the grade I needed. I think I might have missed by 1 or 2. And at the time, that's disheartening because you build yourself up for years thinking, this is what I want. And it doesn't quite happen.
So you were applying for your university during COVID?
Yes, correct.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So they offered you, basically it's a place subject to getting the grades.
Okay.
So then you find out, okay, COVID is all locked down. You get given your grades. And on one of them, it's let me down. It was in the ICT. Funny enough, the one thing that I didn't even...
you weren't really that bothered about.
Yeah, literally. And what that does to you at the time, I think it sends you in a little bit of it makes you question, okay, is this really the direction I want to go in? Because that hasn't quite worked out. So what do I do? Do I try again? Do I resit? Do I retake? Or do I go into sort of employment and try to work my way? What I ended up doing was my cousin, who's the owner of Glasshouse, Birmingham-based brewery, worked with him for about 1.5 years. That might be doing deliveries during COVID. It might be serving behind the bar. And I just really enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved working there. I loved talking to people. And during that time there, I was still actively looking for roles in banking, but I knew it was going to have to be apprenticeships. I knew it was going to have to be. And what ended up happening was I ended up getting a role at a Birmingham-based property finance lender. So 10 times better than just an apprenticeship. 10 times better. This was direct experience in a young starter. I was like the young hotshot. I didn't know anything about property. I knew a little bit about finance, but I was basically molded into this role, and that was very customer facing.
Did you feel like a hotshot though? Because I'm just thinking you've still dealing with the negativity of not getting into uni that you want. Did that take much for you to get over, or were you always like, no, I've always been taught, get up in the morning, keep moving, keep working. So this is what I do. I'll work, I'll enjoy myself, I'll work with my cousin. And you are very much a people person. That's obviously stems from being in your grandparents' shop and having to be.
Yeah.
Which is quite amazing for a young man like yourself, because I don't want to tar young people with a brush, but there's a lot of social anxiety. There's a lot of conditions where you can't even look at people in the eye sometimes. And that's a great trait to have that's very underestimated in a lot of people. You didn't battle any negativity afterwards. It was just like, that's happened. Let's just move forward.
Yeah, correct. Because I knew that this was just a stepping stone to where I was going to go. I knew I was always going to get what I wanted, because that's just how I worked for it. It was never in question.
You have got an incredible amount of self-belief. Where does that come from?
I'd say self-belief comes from evidence over the years. It could be cases of, like I say, with the clothing brand, knowing I was always just that little bit different in school, in college. And even if I didn't quite fit in certain circles, I knew to myself I was being true. This is what I wanted to do. This is what I've created. Everything just felt natural to me. And how can you not feel confident when your grandparents have had their shop for sort of 50, 60 years at the time? What's my excuse? I've got technology, I've got the internet, I've got social media now. Derek and Pauline did not have that when they first started. So what's my excuse? That's what I was telling myself. And
I love that, dude, because we speak about it a lot on the podcast. Combating that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
The best way to do it, give yourself irrefutable evidence that you can fucking do the shit that you say you're going to do.
Correct. It's the tiny things as well, though, isn't it?
But again, I don't want to keep harping on about your age, but that's some incredible shit to understand. And I mean, if I knew that at 23, it's taken me 44 years to get to all that point. So I know we're in a much faster time. I'm sounding like a bloody dinosaur again. But
we weren't judged, Matt.
It's all right, mate. You surround yourself with young people. I can live vicariously through you guys while I'm dottering around the place. But it is quite an incredible thing to witness in someone so young. And that is not me trying to sound patronizing. I do interact with lots of people as a result of my job and all these things. Yeah. Don't meet many 23-year-olds like you, Jack.
I try. I think no one's perfect. Everyone excels in their own ways, in different ways, and
humble too. Jesus Christ. Who is this guy?
No one's perfect. And I think I've got, like I said earlier, I've got friends where they might not be exactly where I am. And I've got friends that are way further ahead than me, but I'm not too focused on that. What I'm focused on is my own path, my own every day, just getting a little bit better. And look, we all have bad days. That's inevitable. And I've learned that now more than ever, having my own business. I thought the clothing brand was having a business. No. Owning the neon sign company that's having a business, having pressures, having stresses on bills, everything. That's what drives you ultimately.
So shall we talk? You're in property finance. And never to rest on your laurels, how did we go from, property finance, I think I'll give making neon signs a go, teaching myself that?
Not the usual transition, would you say, Matt?
No, not normally. Well, I don't know. But then some of the people on the podcast have been in corporate backgrounds and gone, no, I want to do art now and stuff. But I do think it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because you could be sat very comfortable. Presumably property finance is quite a lucrative business to be in.
Yeah, correct. It's very niche, very specialist, you could say. And doing that at 22 years old, brilliant. And I was fortunate enough and lucky enough to be surrounded by people in that company that were inspirational to me in a way. A lot of people had their own little thing on the side.
In what is such as who are you observing? I don't know names, but what are you observing from these people and their little side projects?
Yeah,
that it's viable to run two things at the same time, or?
Yeah, correct. It is viable, but all within a balance. Ultimately, your 9 to 5, your job comes first. That's first and foremost. And what I was doing when I first started mine was from January to about March, I was practicing in my mum's kitchen, learning how to make a neon sign. Now, how do you get to that point?
Yes.
That's the question.
How do we get there?
So I took a trip to New York, essentially, just a solo trip, just went there myself. And there was no real reason behind it at all. I just wanted to go there. I hadn't been there for a few years. My mum, my family were lucky enough we went when we were young. So it's first time going back. And what happened there was just this spark within me. For some reason, I don't know why, the neon signs just caught my attention. I just thought, and as they do, that's basically what they're built for. And I thought, you know what, we don't have these back in the UK. So I thought, you know what, let's do it. Let's do it. And more specifically, let's do it in Birmingham. So on the way home, as soon as I got to the airport, I typed in onto Google on my laptop, okay, neon sign stores, Birmingham. I soon found out no one was doing it. And that's where I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a go. And what gives me the confidence to even execute on that is that belief just from all them years being in the shop. Everyone, so a lot of people in my family have their business. They create it themselves. No external funding, nothing like that. No, nothing's ever been given to them. They've just worked for it. So I thought, you know what, this feels natural. I'm going to do this. Like I say, I didn't know anything about it, but that's a blessing as well at the same time, because you learn what works for you. You're not taught these old tricks and these old ways of, okay, this is how you do it. No, I just,
and it's very different now, isn't it? Because neon back in the day is gases and all those
correct.
things, whereas now we're much further on. You're working with LED, right?
Yeah, correct. That's much better for the environment, much better for the pockets as well. And a lot of people are, and rightly, they're worried about your social footprint. You're worried about energy consumption, all stuff like that. And I wanted to make sure if I do start a business, it's got to stand the test of time. I'm not trying to do a quick win. I'm not trying to be in and out, sell the business. I'm trying to really build something here. And what I'm trying to build is the biggest neon sign store brand in the country. And that's what I'm hoping is I'm on the path of that. And it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not easy, but I think I've got the right products. I've designed it well. I put everything into it. Even from the small conversations with customers, picking the phone to people, understanding what they want. And you soon find out that, okay, let's give it a go. And little things such as where I done someone's sign about 3 months ago, a custom neon sign for their office space. And when you go through the process, you know yourself, Matt, you have it designed, we go through it, okay, cool, it's in production. But when you see it for the first time, I've been in the customer's shoes because I was on the market for one myself. And that's what's funny. So as soon as he seen that sign, broke down in tears, got emotional, because that logo to him that's in that office represents a lot more than just a few letters. That means a lot more to him. And it's beautiful. And that's what keeps me going as well, and knows I'm on the right path. I'm doing something good.
Yeah. And that is a massive progression, because I've been lucky enough to witness this progression, because I actually came across you and your business, the Neon Cow, through Sophie Rose Walters, artist, who was episode 1 of season 1. And you and her collaborated on a piece, and you turned one of her Amy Winehouse drawings into this beautiful, bespoke neon sign, didn't you? And I was like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow him, because obviously, like you say, neon grabs attention. It was beautiful colours. I was like, wow, who's this guy that's making this stuff? And you taught yourself on your mum's kitchen table, right?
Yeah, correct. In my mum's kitchen table for about 3 months. Just practicing, no prior experience, and all off YouTube. And you soon find out, you get to a stage where, okay, make the first one. And I done this for myself. It was the J. Cole Born Sinner logo. J. Cole's my favorite artist. And I thought, you know what, I want this. So that's where I was in the market for one myself as well. And then it sort of all compounds and adds together and makes you realize there's no one doing it. And if they are, they're really expensive. And second to that, they don't really understand what this logo represents. It might just be a few lines to someone, but to me, it actually meant a little bit more. And they didn't quite grasp the vision of that. And I went, through the process of making my own one. And throughout that time, you soon realize, okay, made the first one, looked brilliant, lights up. Then all of a sudden, someone might come knocking and say, oh, Jack, can you do one for so-and-so's bedroom? Or can you do one for our office space? And that was the natural progression of it, really.
But at this point, it's still a side hustle.
Oh, correct. Yeah, I'm still on my 9 to 5 at the time. It was just a passion project, really. Just a passion project. It just felt right to do as well. It's almost absolute opposite of sort of banking and finance. Creative, you got corporate, and then you got this really out there, extravagant thing. And yeah, I just absolutely enjoyed, but it was still a project. And don't get me wrong, I still pinch myself even to this day, thinking, I've built this. This is my career now.
So where's the moment? Because I want to touch more on that as well, because I know exactly what you mean. We're sat and I'm looking at the Explore, Inspire, Create logo. And yes, it's a neon sign now, but those words, that branding is all Creative Noah Land. It's all what I'm trying to do to help people explore, inspire, and create the lives that they want to create. That's all we're trying to do with the podcast, is inspire people to do the shit that inspires them, basically.
Perfect.
And there is so much more meaning towards that. And I think that's interesting that you care about that, because you could be very much like, yeah, fuck it, I'll design your logo, send me over the things, I'll do this, that, and the other. But realizing that, and your people skills, your customer services, I loved the process of having my sign design. You going, oh, dude, I've done this. Send it over to me. Oh, I like that. How does that work? And is it really that big? And oh no, I can make it a little bit smaller and all this sort of. And it was just brilliant. I loved every step of it. It was so cool. And I think that is one of the things that stands you apart. You're not going, quick, give me your cash, you'll get your sign. I want to know the story behind the logo. I want to know why it means so much to you, because then you can put a bit more heart and soul into it.
And you spot on. And typically that's how, prior to obviously me doing this, that's how a lot of sign companies operate. And you don't want to, and that's not saying every sign company is like that, of course they're not. But it's a case of nobody really wants to go to a sign company when they're just shopping for something for their living room. You wouldn't do that. You'd go to, maybe it might be Sainsbury's, it might be H&M, not H&M, it might be anywhere, just anything on the high street.
Interior style stores.
Yeah, basically. That's where you'd naturally come across it. And that was always my aim when I started Neon Cow. I didn't want it to just be another online company that's just like everything else. I wanted someone to remember, where did you get your neon sign from? I got it from Neon Cow. It had to be remembered. It had to be unique. And
I'd like to talk about that as well. Yeah. But again, what was the catalyst to take it from being the side hustle to a full-time thing? Was it just literally, the volume's gone up over 30% of my income is coming from signs. Maybe I can do this full-time.
Yeah, so it got to a stage where, so I'd been going about a year and a half at the time, and I absolutely loved my career, absolutely loved it. I'm still in touch with a lot of the people from there, but sometimes what you realize is that opportunities like this don't come around very often, and sometimes you've really got to grasp it and take it and run with it.
But that's a gamble.
It is a gamble, but like I say, going back to sort of what we were speaking about before, I had that confidence, I had that evidence and that self-belief to think, you know what, I can do this. If I'm doing this on the side, where it is currently, what would it be like full-time? And I've been lucky enough to work with some of the biggest companies around the world, internationally renowned.
Come on, drop some names.
Oh, no.
Harvey Nichols, Selfridges, Aston Villa, Premier League Football Club, Ja Rule, rapper. How many signs have you made for Ja Rule?
Last count now. I think we sent a few out to him about 3 weeks ago. Sent a few out, another few out to him. Yeah, about 2 or 3 more out. It's just,
I hope he's the top of your testimonial.
Yeah, I hope so. I might even get featured in a song, who knows? But
that would be cool.
It's working with those brands, which really, it is pinch me moments, but I knew it's inevitable because ultimately I've got a great product. It's all personal. It's all
But also you've got a great brand. And let's talk about that for a bit.
Yeah,
the name, the branding. Have you done all that yourselves?
Yeah, everything all done myself.
So why the Neon Cow?
Yeah, I always get asked that question. And it's funny, I don't have a direct answer for it, but what I can say is when it came to me, and a lot of people that have got their businesses will know you might throw a few different names in the air and see what works for you. And for me, my process was I was listing out about 10, 15 names on one side of a piece of paper. And it was almost like a audition. It was like the X Factor. Okay, right, out of these 10 or 15, what's going to go through to the next stage? Out of that, next it might be 5 or 6. Okay, now what's going to go here? And that was how I slowly worked my way through. And the one brand which gave me inspiration in terms of their name and which I really liked, it was just sharp, it's punchy, it's powerful, was Fat Face. It's a clothing brand. I've never shopped there, but for some reason that was, at that time, it's what came to mind. I don't know why the short name, and Neon Cow it just stood out to me. I don't know where Cow came from. I'd love to be able to tell you about where it came from, this place, but it just felt right at the time. And it was between that and Professor Neon. So there was two names it was going to be. Lucky enough, I went with Neon Cow.
Yeah, Professor Neon. I'm not so, yeah, but I think you have done it well because it stand out as well because you're like, what? I don't see anything to do with cows here. You just think that, there's a neon sign. My first neon sign was a cow or whatever it was.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's quirky enough that people are like, that's weird. Where did you get your sign? Oh, I bought it from the Neon Cow.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. A lot of people say to me, it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense.
Yeah.
And that's And that's the best way to describe it for me. And
Perfect.
the funny thing is, sometimes if anyone's listening to this and they're thinking of starting a business, I wouldn't even get too caught up on the business name in a way, because it's what it means for you. And as long as it references what you actually do, I think that's the main thing. I could have just named it the Neon Sign Guy or Neon Signs UK. Could have done that. But I wanted something different. I wanted something unique that would stand out.
But that goes back to your granddad's saying of eye level is bi level.
Yeah,
You know what it
correct.
takes to stand out. And the
Correct.
brand is cool. Like,
Yeah.
I'd wear a Neon Cow t-shirt, not
Yeah.
even because of the fact that I've got a neon sign. It's
Yeah.
a cool brand. Everything, when it came, the packaging, the wrapping, everything was branded up with Neon Cow. And that's what it's all about. Look at what we're doing with Creative Noahland. Brand identity.
It's so important. And I think if you've got a good, strong brand around your product or your selection of products, it almost ring fences you in a way. It adds that moat of water around you, which just protects you. And that's the key thing here when it comes to branding is you want it to stand out, and you want it to be, it depends what you want. You might want it to look clean. You might want it to look really extravagant, up to you. But as long as you really take the brand serious, because you'll know businesses, I'll know businesses where we shop every day, and their brand isn't 10/10. It's not perfect. And no one's is, maybe in a way. But as long as you really try and create something and tell something, for example, one of the main things with my neon signs, I wanted to make sure that the outside looks as good as it can, in the sense of it's never going to beat the inside because it's a neon sign. There's not many things that are cooler than that. But what I can do is make the outside of the box really cool. So people are going to snap pictures, take pictures, put them on the Instagram. And guess what? When they're on the Instagram, it has the brand name in there. It's not just there. It's not a plain box. I want it to really stand out. And
yeah, and if someone shares it, you don't have to even tag you because they're seeing Neon Cow, everything.
That's it. And that's branding. That's branding 101 in a way.
Brand recognition. It's Apple computers are only a Toshiba hard drive in a fancy model, aren't they? It's how we dress things up. Look at this now. Creative Noahland started with a simple grey background and a couple of lights, and now we've got a whole studio. We've got neon signs. It's brand identity, and all of that crosses over. It's so important.
Right. And you go through different phases of that as well, don't you, Matt? You probably know from the start to where you are now, there might be different things even in your personal life that might shape the branding or the way you grow your business.
The creative evolution. And that's what, we're never one thing. I think that's the whole thing that people get stuck. Don't ever get stuck in labeling. You can be something different tomorrow or try something different tomorrow. And your story is a testament to that. You're in property finance and then went, actually, I am an entrepreneur. This is where my drive lies. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have, I don't know, you're a young man who started a business and it's growing very rapidly. Have you got any little tips for creatives, artists, people wanting to start any business really? I know I've put you a little bit on the spot there, haven't I? But what would be some of your major lessons learned?
The one that comes straight to the front of my mind is from Stephen Bartlett's book. It's "A Frame Matters More Than the Picture." So
say more.
How you portray something is what matters. For example, I could have a bottle of water in the middle of the room right now, and it might just be plain, or it might just have the brand name, might not have much about it. But if I started adding natural spring water or a picture of a mountain with water flowing out of it, all of a sudden, you're going to perceive that bottle of water slightly different to the thing next to it. And that's what I mean when I say frame matters more than the picture.
So similar to the Apple make their shops at an art gallery rather than PC World or Curry's where there's laptops and laptops lined up.
Correct. Absolutely. And that, I think if you take that with you in all aspects of I can only talk on business, but your design, for example, going back to the packaging, if I can portray what's on the outside of this to feel nice and premium, which it is, you've got to make sure you match your packaging with your products. Because if you mess up that part, people will perceive the actual product itself as slightly less. If it just arrived, imagine if it arrived in a black bin bag, Matt. What would you think about it?
Oh, I'd be a bit worried about whether it was going to turn on or not, to be honest. But
yeah, you would. And that's why it goes back to, maybe that's an extreme example, but you can take it all the way to the other end. If it arrived in a nice, shiny glass box or in a gold box, all of a sudden you'd think, wow, I've got something here. And that's what's matter. That's the main thing here. So anyone starting a business, I'd say the frame matters more than the picture. Really take time and focus on those small details.
There's a great analogy about that in terms of positioning. It's like a bottle of water in corner shop, 50p. A bottle of water at a fancy restaurant, £3.20.
Correct.
Bottle of water at the airport, £7 or something.
Correct.
Insane. A bottle of water on a flight, probably even more expensive.
But what that says is that's the context it's in. So the context, that's the exact same product
Same product. Yeah, exactly.
But the context in which it's in determines its value. So if
you're in a desert and you need a bottle of water,
I tell you what, you're onto something there. And if you're a photographer just doing it for birthdays and smaller events, that you might not be able to charge as much as someone that's on a massive photo shoot for ITV or BBC. It's completely separate. And like I say, it's the same skill, but it's just applied in a different market, and goes back to it. The context determines the value.
Artists, creatives, remember that. This is a good one. Take note on this one.
It's business related, and you've had people on this that are far more talented at art and creative than me. When it comes to the business, that's what works for me.
Yeah, ultimately. We all need a Jack's mind as artists and creatives. No, I do believe that, and we've discussed that before. If artists were that little bit more entrepreneurial and business-minded, perhaps we wouldn't have the whole starving artist syndrome that exists. Right? And
no one's perfect. No. That ultimately, I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Nobody is perfect. You learn as you go along. And in a way, we're all winging it. We're also winging it. And every challenge, you don't know what's going to be around the corner in a month or 6 months' time. There'll be a challenge that you've never faced before. And what are you going to do? Are you going to fall victim to it? Are you going to pack it in, or are you going to go over it and actually get through it?
But again, that's a testament to your resilience, again, which we love talking about, because life's tough, people. The worst thing I come across is people that expect things to be handed to them without doing the hard work. What's the magic you're looking for is in the hard work you're avoiding.
Brilliant quote. Yeah.
Amazing, isn't it? It's not mine, but it's a great quote. Yeah. And it's really, when you start thinking about it, you go, actually, if I'd put in a bit more work, who knows where you could get.
Correct.
But it's the people that sat there on their asses going, woe is me, or I'd like to do this. I'd stop talking about it, do it.
Yeah. It sounds harsh, and probably from someone listening, that probably does sound harsh, but that is the reality of it. Life in general, you're so lucky in terms of the chance of even being born. It's incredible. So how are you in this world that we're in 2025? We've got all this technology, we've got all these blessings, and you're not even going to make the most of it.
Opportunities galore.
Yeah. There's so many different ways, and there's no right or wrong way of starting a business or doing your business. It's what works for you, but just give it all you've got. Give it all you've got, because I'll tell you one thing, my nan and granddad operating for 61 years, 62 years. There's no chance you can do that without hard work. No chance. So you're going to have to work for it.
And I'm not to be mushy about it, a lot of love. Because working in each other's pockets for 62 years, they've got to love the hell out of each other. Good God.
It's about balance, and it's about balance, isn't it, ultimately? My granddad, for example, it's sort of turned into a podcast about No Shop, but it's so crucial to touch on that.
I should be interviewing Derek and Pauline, really.
You missed the trick there, man. Yeah. It's so crucial. And you learn these things, like I say, you learn them as you go along, and you don't know what's going to turn around the corner. So just give it all you've got and just keep going.
That is really great advice. And I think people should, if you are listening, take note. Let's talk about the growth of the Neon Cow, though, because now I think we have to talk about the fact that you're so busy, you now have to outsource the making of your signs, which is another business thing and a sign of huge growth. You've had to find someone who can make the product on the same standard that you're happy with.
Correct.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Simply because you're busy, you need to turn around things faster. It's not because you don't love creating signs, is it? It's now the business has grown exponentially, so you need to grow with it, right?
You spot on. You get to a point where you soon realize there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many signs you can make in a day, whilst also trying to talk to your customers, make sure they're getting even a good after service, and then whilst also attracting new sales. So it's getting that balance. But how could you do all of those things while spending 12, 16 hours in the workshop making signs? You can't really do that. So what you do is, in any business that's looking to scale, you need to look at the things that you can ideally outsource. And production was one of those things that I was really wary of, because like you said there, it needs to be held to a certain level. And it's not easy doing that. It's not easy at all. But as long as you have the trust in the team that they can carry on with it, then brilliant. And it allows you to flourish and to perhaps, I don't know, do the things that you excel at. So for example, me, it's talking to people, it's understanding their vision, and then actually applying it into a neon sign. That's where I thrive. So why wouldn't I double down on that and then outsource that? It makes sense. And like I say, when you're looking to scale your business, you gotta be sensible.
Focus on the things that are your attributes and delegate out the stuff that you know
100%.
you can.
As long as you've got the budget. For example, a lot of people, when that comes to mind, a lot of people might think, okay, marketing, let's get a marketing agency. As long as you've got the budget for certain things, do it. But if you don't, give it a go. Learn it yourself. You don't quite know how good something could turn out to be.
Hey, sorry for interrupting. This is just a quick reminder that if you're enjoying this episode, there are a couple of really easy ways that you can support the podcast. You can hit the support the show link in the show notes, or consider grabbing yourself something from the Creative Nowhere Land shop on the website. And don't forget, community members get free shipping on all orders. So, before you buy anything, be sure to join. Thanks again for being part of the Creative Nowhere Land community, and now, let's get back into it. Have you done, presumably you haven't needed to go down a marketing agency route because your signs are the marketing themselves. People just naturally post them.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to have great customers, great followers. And yeah, like you say, they market themselves in a way. And one thing I've started recently doing is I've labeled, each neon sign now comes with a sort of a small label at the bottom where it says Neon Cow. It doesn't affect the person's design. It doesn't do anything like that. But what it does is when it's out in a bar, when it's out in a restaurant, how many people are really going to go up to the manager and say, oh, where did you get that from? Second to that, how many of those bar managers are actually going to remember where they got it from or know where they got it from? Very slim chances. So what I can do, and this goes to a lot of businesses out there, what you can do is brand the product, but make sure you don't brand it where it's it wrecks the customers. It wrecks the aesthetic.
You don't want to be too like,
yeah.
I've got a beautiful Explore, Inspire, Create sign. There's a massive neon cow logo at the bottom that I didn't really want.
There's a balance to it. And it's going to be a lot of, and anyone that runs a business, they'll know, a lot of A to B testing. You work out what works for you, what doesn't work, and you just chop and change things. And that's what matters really.
But that's exciting in the sense that you've been able to grow the business in that manner. And the skill sets that you learned from being front of house for Derek and Pauline are the ones that you're leaning into. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I believe that's a creative skill set as well. Your ability to be so warm with people and interact with people. It's a very underestimated skill.
I noticed that. And a lot of us still serve in that, when I go to shop and you notice a lot of kids, not all of them, but some people don't even say a word. When they hand over their change or they come in to purchase some sweets or some chocolate, they don't actually say a word, or they might not even
lift their head sometimes.
Lift their head. It's beyond me. And what do we need to do to help that? I don't know. That's a whole different kind of worms, isn't it?
Yeah, let's not go down that route. We could be here for months.
But I think the growth of Neon Cow it's just over 3 years now. And if you used to tell me when I first started that this is where it would get to, running a 6-figure, all around the world business, sending signs out to America, to Gambia, to Spain, I would have said no chance. I said no chance.
And not just those countries, to the people, the businesses, the rappers, But the growth of the business comes from you and your ability to see how your own business needs to scale. Because recently you've developed some new tech, haven't you?
Yes,
to help again, back to your brilliance of customer service and customer knowledge. How do I solve the customer's biggest problem? Because I kind of want to see what my logo looks like without having to go through lots of rigmarole of maybe I have to give them a call or I've got a logo. I just want to have a look and see what it'd look like as a neon sign. So you've noticed that's one of your customers' problems. So tell me, Jack, how have you sorted that? Do you like that segue, by the way?
That was smooth as anything. That was brilliant, Matt. And
seamless.
I'm proud and over the moon to announce that we've released the first ever neon preview tool. Essentially, what that means is a customer can upload their logo onto my website today, and they will see exactly what their sign would look like without having to pay a single penny. And guess what? That's all instant. Back in the day, and still to now, it depends on some projects, you'd have to fill out a form, attach your logo, and go from there. This tool has never, ever been built before. So I had to think, okay, this is the customer's issue. What can I do to help it? And secondly, what's actually possible to help this? Because this is a bottleneck in every single business in my industry. Every business. What happens as soon as someone presses submit on that form, it's almost out of control in a way. But if you can actually tell them, right, rather than fill in the form, have a look at the sign right now. That's what you ultimately want. And you might go shopping elsewhere and see, okay, right. And whoever responds to you first, you might end up going with. But in this example, I wanted a way where customers can envision their sign and have full confidence that, you know what, I like this. And you don't even know if someone's going to get back to you after you press on a form. So I wanted that.
But do you think that goes back to your knowledge of your customers' reactions when they see their own sign? You know that when they see the actual thing, how it could look. Like you sent me a couple of designs, and I was like, mate, that is like, it wasn't. I mean, I got my sign before all this technology was developed, but even when you were just sending me the simple designs, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's going to look so sick. And that impact, that's a selling point, isn't it? Oh, I'm a bit undecided. Oh, let me just have a look at it. Oh, wow, it's going to look like that. Okay, no, bye.
Yeah. And look, Matt, that's difficult. That's very, very difficult. This was about 13, 14 months in the making. I couldn't tell anyone. Because it was, no one's ever done it before. So what did I have to do? I had to design it from scratch, had to find and get the right people, more importantly, to create this AI, train this AI, and then also portray it and frame it in a way where it's actually useful for a customer. Now, it's been live for about 2-3 weeks, and the feedback received already is amazing. You know, for example, someone the other day purchased a sign through the website about 1:00 in the morning of their logo, and it was brilliant. They had an event coming up in a couple of weeks' time, and lucky enough, because they didn't have to wait for that, however long the delay would be to getting back to them, they was like, yep, I like it now. Here's the payment up front, Jack. Let's get cracking. I've got full confidence. And then jumped on the phone straight away, said, look, thanks for placing your order. We're going to get it started. We're going to get it delivered to your doorstep. So what that does is, although you say it's a great sales thing, it makes the process so much smoother for a customer. And like I say, it's a bottleneck in a load of service-based businesses, a lot of businesses in my industry, and I wanted to solve that. And don't get me wrong, it was expensive, very, very expensive to do it, but I'm at a position where I'm really, really proud of what we've created.
That's again a testament to your ability to see how your own business needs to grow. You've reinvested in yourself, in Neon Cow, in this technology, in the belief that's going to be the thing that, and I mean, it's obviously already proving, already proving its worth, right?
And look, it's technology that's so advanced, but
it's AI, is it?
Correct. Right. Powered by AI, and look, ultimately, technology is cool, AI is cool, it's really nice, but without the human touch, without the human element, it's not really worth anything. People want to buy from people, and as soon as you pick up the phone to someone and tell them, look, I can see you've uploaded your logo, this is how it's going to look, I'm glad you're happy with it, when's the deadline? It's about adding that service to it. And look, reinvesting in the business, it just made sense because I'm trying to build something here. I'm trying to build the best neon science store brand in the country. And
I love that.
How do you do that without reinvesting? You simply can't. But there's competitors out there with 50, 100, probably 200 people in some of their companies, and none of them have this. None of them have it.
Wow.
I'm the only person that has it. And it's brilliant.
Have
it's great
put
technology.
Some sort of patent on that, or?
Yeah, so all patented, all protected, because like I say, we're really trying to build something here, and you have to be sensible and you have to calculate decisions. But this was 14 months in the making.
Wow.
Designed literally from scratch. Worked with a lady called Anaya who designed the front end, really, really talented. She's vast amount of experience when it comes to this thing, and just left it to her and had a clear vision, and she absolutely nailed it. And then I had to get a team that would actually create the AI, train the AI, get all the different machine learning in place. And yeah, we done it. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy. There was a few things in the process where, okay, this would be possible. Loads of people told me from the offset that, no, it's not possible. People that are in developing, people that are in computing said, no, it's not possible. You can't do that yet. But we found the right people.
That's interesting that you can't do that yet. You found the right people to do it now. But when you first started Neon Cow, let's face it, AI wasn't what it was then. No. You wouldn't have even been able to think about that, would you?
No, of course not. And
we're moving so quickly, aren't we?
It's almost scary in a way, scary quickly, but you have to really tap in to these things. If you're a business and you're almost not using AI, and AI isn't just chat GTP, there's so many different layers to it. Just really have a little look at it and think, okay, how could I be optimizing my business? For example, there's bots, there's agents that can literally respond to customers for you. Now, for me, I don't use any of those things, but there would be some businesses where it would benefit them. I'll definitely recommend using that. But look, technology, like I said earlier, technology is cool, but without the human element, that's what you need. You need that really. So it's powered by technology, but there's a human on the other end of it.
So come on then. You're already on your way, but how do you turn the Neon Cow into the biggest neon manufacturer in the UK? What's the goals? What's happening? What's moving forward next?
Yeah, so I believe creating the AI technology is a major step in that direction. Second to that, working directly with the customer, making sure every single individual project is the best it can be. If you get too focused on the future and worry about these goals, you're going to lose track of what actually matters, and that's the customers that are with you right now. So I definitely say nurture your customers, look after them, and the rest will follow. Believe me, the rest will follow. As long as you have a great product and you've got good service, brilliant. If you've got a great service and a bad product, you're probably not going to get people to come back to you. But if you've got good service and a great product, that creates something really special.
And that goes across the board, whether you're an artist, an entrepreneur, whether you're starting a coffee business or whatever.
Correct.
Great advice. See, that's what I mean. It's broad advice from yourself that I think so many people listening to this can take elements away, even though, well, I don't make neon signs. It's not about that. Take the broader picture of what we're saying.
Correct.
Amazing, dude. Amazing.
And like I say, it goes back to it. You just need to, when it comes to your customers, treat everything on its individual merit. That's the main thing I'd say.
And how are you measuring that metric for yourself in terms of how is it just about sales to be the biggest neon company in the UK, or is it about something different for you? Is there something?
So I'd say to answer that question, there's a few different things. You can't track it numerically in the way that you can track sales and can track engagement. But I tell you what, working with Harvey Nichols, Sega, Gymshark, all these different brands, to me, that's a pretty good metric to manage it. Yeah, that's probably the best way, because guess what? When you work with those big, amazing brands that trust you on their project, that also says a lot to the small to medium enterprises that say, okay, if they're good enough for Harvey Nichols,
Gymshark, Sega,
they're good enough for me.
The Atlanta Falcons, teams, Ja Rule, Aston Villa. Oh, if it's all right for them, some little guy who's got a tiny podcast, it might be right for me.
No, never that. But it's like I say, if you got too focused on the future and worrying about all these big brands, you would lose track of your customers that you've got today. So really just focus on what you've got today, and obviously spend time on the growth and plan it out and map it out. But really make sure you're not taking for granted what you've got right now.
That's very important and quite profound.
Yeah.
We are where we're supposed to be, right? And you've got to focus on the thing that's right in front of you.
Correct. And nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Might be the name of this podcast. You've said that a lot. Go on then. There's one goal that you've said to me when we sat down to speak about this, and you've mentioned him already, but you've done Ja Rule, so there's got to be a little 6 degrees of separation. When are you producing a neon sign for J. Cole?
That would be the absolute, that would be sort of that would be the top. I don't think there's not many other projects that could top that, to be honest with you.
Why?
J. Cole, I love my music to start off with.
But what is it about J. Cole that resonates with you so much? Because you could pick anybody, any artist.
Correct. It's a good question. It's a really good question. So I grew up probably listening to a lot of my brother's music was on in the background, and his favorite artist was Ja Rule. So in a way, that's kind of ticked in that sense.
Wow.
But the first rapper that I was introduced to was J. Cole, and listen to his music, listen to the stories that he tells, and how he comes across in his interviews and a range of different things. I think that's really powerful in terms of how humble he is. But yeah, look, I'm yet to do a sign for him. But yeah, we'll see.
But 6 degrees of separation, you can't be far away.
Potentially,
Ja Rule, Atlanta Falcons, NFL teams.
And you know what? If it comes, brilliant. But guess what? If it doesn't, so be it.
But then also, when that thing does come, because I will put it out into the universe, when you do make a sign for J. Cole, you'll have gone, I've ticked that goal now.
Pack up the bags, finished.
But that's what I mean. It's about the journey, isn't it? Correct. Not about the result. It's not about the top of the mountain. It's always about the journey.
And don't get me wrong, you forget that though at times. I've been doing it 3 years now, and you forget it's about the journey. And look,
you've probably already done things in those 3 years that you thought you would never do.
Oh, 100%. What I'm doing right now this being my full-time job and my passion, that was a dream for me at one point. So how, and don't get me wrong, sometimes it's hard to stay in the moment, and I'm trying to work on it at the minute. I'm really trying to practice that.
What does that look like? How are you doing anything specific for that? Or is it just every now and again giving yourself a reminder, or are you actually putting into practice a system and going, be present in what I'm doing?
Yeah, so definitely, well, the first and the second reason, the book that I'm reading at the minute, which is Power of Now. It's a really popular book. A lot
Eckhart
of people,
Tolle?
yeah, correct, spot on. And there's certain practices in that can help you, but I just think learn, and even just being grateful for everything you've already got. And even understanding, okay, waking up this morning, having food on the table,
Shelter.
having breakfast.
People in your life that love you.
Yeah, literally.
So
and
important.
Everything, if that's what's important, that's what you're grateful for. Everything else is a bonus. Me living the life that I have now was once a dream to me. So how can that not be a bonus? How can I be ungrateful for that? And that's what you try and teach yourself. And look, it's not easy. We all get caught up. Of course we do at times, but just, yeah, I'm really trying to actively think about that, really, because there's a lot of people that will get to the stage where they want to get to. For example, they might get that gold medal in the Olympics. It's a common thing that people talk about. And that's what they've worked so hard to do. That's what they looked up to. It was their North Star. What do they do now? And that's the thing where you don't want to get to that point and be absolutely miserable and think about it at that point. What I'd rather do is let me just really appreciate what I've got right now and go in the direction I want to go.
We are where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, I love that quote. That's a brilliant quote. Because you're exactly where you need to be. And things don't, just like me missing out on university.
It's led to something so much better. You come out with you haven't got the 40 grand worth of debt or whatever.
Correct.
You've started your own business. It's just flying.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it's not easy. I know I keep saying that, but from the outside, it probably looks, yep, you're doing this, you're doing amazing. But to me, I'm focused on, okay, what's the next thing?
Yeah, and also people, let's go. It's not easy. No one knows what the fragments of your mind are when you get into your bed at night and everything's switched off. You're still sat there as a self-employed person. I've been there. All the things you're ticking off. Oh God, I said I was supposed to go and spend time with my friends today, but actually I had an order that I had to complete or a job that I had to do. There's so much that goes involved, and everyone does only ever see the positive. Oh, it's all right for Jack. He's got his own business. And yeah, but you haven't seen how hard he's worked and gone from the kitchen table to now selling to NFL, Premier League teams.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a journey in a very short time.
Yeah, it is. And you're absolutely yeah.
And I'm really pleased, mate, that I've got to witness it. Only on social media and stuff until I bought my sign, but I'm invested in the neon cow. I think it's ace. I love my sign. It's elevated the brand no end. I feel completely different about my own brand now, having got this sign. So that affects
straight on the website. Boom. We'll take that.
I would write you a testimonial in a heartbeat, mate. So as we say, you've already completed things that when you started, you thought you'd never do for these huge brands, Gymshark, Sega, Villa, the Atlanta Falcons, all these things. So the goal that you've got at the moment is you want to make a sign for J. Cole. I don't want to belittle that in any way, but I feel like your business is so much bigger than that. So if it wasn't J. Cole, where do you see the business in a few years' time if the goal is to make it the biggest? What is another sort of signal that isn't finance? Who would be another job, a brand, or something that you haven't done that you might like to work for?
Great question. I think it's a great question. And I'm going to cop out of the answer a little bit here, because you don't quite know until you get to those points. At the minute, I'm personally so focused on dealing with the customer I've got at the minute, where I'll spend a bit of time focused on the trajectory of the business and the future and the growth of it. But my sort of main focus is actually sort of on the existing customer base. That's where
going
I
back
spend
to that presence again.
Yeah,
we are where we're supposed to be, living in the now, the power of now.
Yeah, and if you probably asked me that question about maybe a year ago or two, I might have had this great plan, this grand deal. Okay, this is going to happen. But one of the worst things that can happen is you put a plan out and you don't quite hit that goal. You don't quite hit that metric that you wanted to. And then you're going a little bit of a downer. So I've learned that what actually matters is the people that you've got following you right now, the people that you've got supporting you right now. That's what truly matters. Yeah. Because everything else, let's face it, is fiction.
Yeah, you can predict a future
of all sorts. But if someone doesn't show up now
Correct.
to buy your sign or whatever that might be, I get it.
Correct. And that's it. And maybe that's like a level of, I don't know, staying grounded, staying humble in a way. But I think as long as you focus on that, it just adds a sense of security, I think, around you.
So have you had any of those moments where you've had to deal with a setback where you thought, fuck this neon sign stuff? I mean, it seems to have been all successful, but we can't give everyone the highlight reel. What's been a moment where you thought, oh, this is not working, this is not going to work, or that job, I haven't completed it, or it's the sign blown up when they've plugged it in? Or have there been any of those moments where you've gone, oh, I don't know whether I should keep carrying on with this?
Yeah, there's moments like that, don't get me wrong. And we all probably face that in a way. There might be a new project, a new challenge, which I've never quite faced before. At this point, I've done thousands of signs, and I've seen the good, I've seen the bad, I've seen the ugly. And there's one thing that I'm trying to focus on at the minute, which is about really working with the customer to make sure that it's what they want, but secondly, what's actually going to be effective for them. Now, there's a way, for example, if it's a bar or a restaurant and they want a sign for their front window, and their aim is to attract footfall, people coming in, but what they're actually asking for isn't quite delivering on that. Now, I believe it's my responsibility to talk to them and think, right, guys, look, this is what we're trying to achieve, yet this doesn't quite match up with it. So here's what my plan is. And it's about working with the customer to think, we've done thousands of signs, this is what works, this is what doesn't work. We've got all of that data now that says, okay, cool, they've got loads of these clicks on their Instagram stories, these don't. It might be the angel wings, the typical angel wings that a lot of people ask for. I actually don't do angel wings. There's been times where I've said, no, let's not do that. What we'll do instead is X, Y, and Z, because the minute you have the angel wings sign in your bar or restaurant, nobody actually knows where that's from. It's that used.
Generic.
So generic. No one knows where that picture's taken. Now, if we have something nice and cool that references your place and that's unique to you, let's run with that. Why wouldn't you? Let's run with that. And there's cool ways you can add your brand at the bottom. We could do things specific bar or restaurant. But yeah, I think it all comes down to working with the customer. And don't get me wrong, there's times, especially back in the day, where an adapter might not work or the color might not be absolutely spot on. So do you start from scratch, get a brand new sign to the customer? I'm a little bit like a perfectionist where I want it to be absolutely spot on for the customer. And the reason why that is because when that's out in the wild, we call it the wild, that's going to do its marketing for me. And at the same time, that's going to do wonders for the customer. So it's mutually beneficial. It helps me and it helps them.
And proves my point about the fact that you're ultra creative, because you're creative problem solving for your clients on the job. Oh, I want this, actually, but I've done the work. I know my industry. If you did this,
correct,
and have a bit more of your branding in it rather than, say, the generic angel,
correct,
you're a creative.
You try, you have to, but it's all in terms of also how you deliver that message. Just like how I said, the context determines the value. If you pitch it in a certain way where it's aggressive or it's sort of you're belittling the customer, then why almost they'd feel disrespected, and you don't want to do that. Ultimately, it's a partnership. You should work together on this. It's what a privilege that someone's come into you and they're trusting you for their office space, for their studio space. So cherish that and really work with them, because if they get something that they're not happy with, then they might not even get a second one from you. So just focus on delivering a good product and work with them. That goes across everything as well.
I think you're right. I think there's so much that people, creative people, entrepreneur people, I think there's so much from this podcast that people can take away learning from you, which again, I don't want to sound like a patronizing old dinosaur, but from a 23-year-old young man, you're very knowledgeable, but that comes from giving yourself the experience and irrefutable evidence that you've done it.
Yeah, correct. Spot on. And I think as a 23-year-old, it can be easy to fall into the traps of buying the luxuries in life, the watches, the cars, the clothes, all these fancy things. But what I would recommend and what I'd say to my younger self, and I've never really been bothered about all that fancy stuff, it's just really just focus on mastering your craft, just learning, being the best you can. And look, it's probably going to sound patronizing to some people, but just really try and be the best in your industry and just see how that could turn out.
I love that.
You don't know how beautiful something could turn out to be.
I love that, dude. And I think that's a great place to almost bring this to a bit of a close. I mean, incrementally better every day. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah, lovely. Okay, well, I think we've spoken about so much there, mate, and there's so much great stuff that people can take away from this podcast. But closing tradition that we do have on the Creative No Land podcast,
Okay. Yep.
we like to ask someone for a quote that resonates with you, and also someone in your network that you think would be an interesting and inspiring guest to come on a future Creative No Land podcast. So in any order you like, mate.
So for the quote, I touched on one earlier where it was the context sort of determines the value and the frame matters more than the picture. They sort of go hand in hand. But the other one that really, it's always stuck with me was in my brother, who's co-founder of Neon Cow as well.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah, so it's me and my brother.
I feel like, whoa, we're giving Jack all the credit when your brother's been the secret co-founder.
Yes, my he's a chartered accountant. That's like his background. So he's very much finance and keeps everything safe and sound. So while I do these brilliant, amazing collaborations,
so you're even more so you're the creative and he's the finance guy.
Yeah, you could say. Yeah, you could say that. You could
shout out to brother because he kept you to the end of the podcast to even give you a shout out. I'll leave that sibling rivalry.
Yeah, he won't mind. It's one thing that was in his, I think it was like his WhatsApp bio or something like that. It was a quote saying, "Imagine if you don't reach your own potential." And I thought, wow, quite a fitting quote. And that would be
to you because the one that I heard on those same realms is, the darkest day in a man's life is where he meets the man that he could have been. Imagine if you don't reach your own potential.
You almost don't want to go to that place. You don't want to imagine it because we can't, you don't know how that would feel. But if you didn't give your best and try your best at this thing that we call life, yeah, that might be a tough time for someone facing that. But like I say, we all do the best we can. We all learn each and every day.
That's all we can do, isn't it?
Yeah, and just carry on going forward.
Such a level head on you for a 23-year-old to even come up with a quote like that even. Man, you blow me away, Jack. I wish I had some of those skills that you had when I was 23 rather than being a drunken idiot.
So yes, I was never the type for going out even, never the type for sort of going out partying.
But that's me now. I don't really drink.
Yeah.
Not really bothered about going out on crazy nights out or anything like that. But we're building and we're growing.
100%. And nothing's right or wrong though at the same time. Just
No, that's no judgment.
Yeah,
but
correct.
We're trying to build something that our future selves are proud of, that will hopefully give us freedom, time later down the line.
Yeah, you say absolutely spot on. Yeah.
And that's what we've all got to strive for, really. Okay. And what about a guest in your network that you think would be an interesting person to come on the Creative No Land podcast?
A guest in my network. I think one of the most inspired. Yeah, cool. One of the most, I think, inspiring people that I've obviously been fortunate enough to be surrounded by is probably my cousin Josh, who owns Glasshouse Brewery in Birmingham. They've grown to be one of the best breweries in the country. And seeing that from how the start to where he is now, and actually I've worked there for a few years, it's brilliant. It's amazing. And his story, I'd recommend everyone to go check them out, go down to their tap room, take them a little visit. Spot on there, absolutely spot on. So I'd recommend Josh.
Well, if we can hook that up, that would be great. And I think, again, an interesting, creative, entrepreneurial journey. And everyone loves a beer most of the time, don't they? So, Jack, I just want to say another massive thank you. I think you might look at the title of, I don't know what I'm going to tag this as, Jack runs a neon sign business. Think, oh, I'm an artist, I'm a creative. I might not listen to that one, but I really hope people do and take note of the broader picture of what we're trying to say in this, and very inspiring.
I hope so,
and you should be very proud. And Derek and Pauline, your family, and everyone should be, I'm sure they're hugely proud of everything you're doing, dude.
I hope so. And firstly, Matt, thank you for having me on as well. And thank you for choosing Neon Cow for Neon Sign. And best of luck for season 2. I'm sure you'll smash it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to the Creative No Land podcast. If you found anything in this episode useful or inspiring, please consider subscribing or sharing it with a friend. You can also help the podcast by clicking the support the show link in the show notes, or by grabbing yourself something from the Creative No Land shop. And here's the bonus. When you join the community through our website, you'll get a special discount code that gives you free shipping on all orders. So, before you buy anything, be sure to join the community. Every bit of support helps us keep sharing these inspiring stories. So, thanks again for listening, and until next time, explore, inspire, and create.
Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. And so, therefore, it's so important to consider this question: what do I desire?